How are you? It is the 25th. Is it the 20th? Nope, 23rd. I gotta get my eyes checked. It's part of my final physical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are live all the way from Germany today. What's going on with you, Sergeant Major? How are
Oh
you?
man, it's great. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day over here in Deutschland and beautiful Leipzig, Germany. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be here.
That's awesome. So look, we got Lee Ridling. You're fully retired now, right?
I am fully retired. I retired on the 31st of October, 2021.
Woo! You coming up on a year.
Yeah, getting there.
Look, I got some of your stuff up here, man. This is Riddling Adventures, Love, Laugh, Live to Travel. You wanna talk about that? What is this? How you go from Sergeant Major giving the knife hand at the finest to taking these pictures and traveling all over the place? How does this work?
Well, back 25 years ago, the first time I was stationed in Europe, in Germany, I my wife and I, Betty and I, both started, we started traveling together and seeing some places. And I really got interested in photography and taking pictures. And of course, back then I just had whatever camera I had. I didn't have any special camera. So just started taking pictures. And I met a guy who's a professional photographer. And he taught me some things, and I looked at some of his photos. So it's just been something I've been kind of messing around with for 25 years or so. And then my wife and I, after I retired, we started traveling a bit and making some videos and posting some pictures and stuff, and trying to get some travel advice. But it's a little challenging, and has been challenging during the COVID experience that we've all had, and then kind of starting my second career. So that's taken a little bit of time too. So I haven't had in the last 6 months or so as much time to travel as I would like to. But yeah, so that's kind of a big hobby of ours to make videos and photos and share them with the world, if you will, I guess.
They're awesome, Sergeant Major. I'd be like, yo, I've seen some. I've been to some of these places. It didn't look like this when I was there. Look, I'm like, whoa, this is awesome, man. I need to. So look, so aside for the gentleman that gave you some advice, did you have any training? Did you take any classes on the photography?
Well, yeah, actually, I took. Probably in 2000, I guess. So I was on assignment to Alaska.
Okay.
From Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and
those are extreme opposites.
Yeah. And so I wanted to get more into photography. So I took a class at the local Votech there in Lawton, Oklahoma, and learned some things and basics of photography, if you will, and so learn some things there. And then you do reading, and you could basically teach yourself to do anything, especially now with the power of the internet. So read more and learn more, to try to learn something more every day, I suppose. So yeah, but that was the basis of it. That class at the Votech at I can't remember the name of the school, but it's in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Okay.
County. Votech, maybe something, or maybe Wichita Mountains. I don't know, but anyway, it's in Lawton, Oklahoma. So that's where I took classes at.
Okay, shout out to those guys, man. They did an awesome job on schooling you up on this photography and videography stuff.
Yeah.
So look,
it's more difficult back then because it was real film. Now it's easy. You put it in your computer and you get an instant picture. Back then you actually had to
develop it and everything, right?
Yeah.
So you learned how to go into the dark room and everything and do all that stuff?
I did.
Wow.
And for me, for my military background, that was easy because I've been working in dark. I was working in a dark room my whole career because as an X-ray tech, we were processing films.
Okay.
Dinosaur days before we had digital radiography. Old I am.
Come on, Sergeant Major. Listen, Sergeant Major, I thought you was a whiskey this whole time.
No, I was Papa.
Really?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, that's awesome. So you was low density like us.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's awesome, Sergeant Major. We got the Jewel Junkie in the house. She said, "What's poppin', Papa Gift?" And yes, Jewel Junkie. That's the boss, Sergeant Major. That's the my little commander walking around the house.
Okay, cool.
The Jewel Junkie, where they add style to your smile, $5 at a time. Check her out online. Okay, Sergeant Major. So we jump right into it, and I really did. I want to show some more of your stuff because I have the your IG. You want to talk about like where we can find your stuff at? I see the what is this? This is the WordPress, and I see the IG. You have any more areas where we can find your stuff at?
Well, so we have a YouTube channel, but it's been kind of dormant for about 6 months now. But we do have a YouTube channel, and I'll pull up the name of it. It's Traveling Expat Life. Traveling Expat Life is our YouTube channel. We have some videos on there, but we've been dormant for the last several months. We got to get active again.
Okay.
And then my Instagram account, L Ridmeister Travel Pics.
Okay. And see, look, I was trying to see how you said that. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. I was saying Irid Meister. It's L Rid. So okay.
L Ridmeister Travel Pics. Yeah.
Got you. It's up here. We see it. Y'all go check it out. Hit them up. Now, are you doing any wedding photos, graduation photos, or you like more landscape area type stuff?
Yeah, I prefer landscape and travel. I took some graduation pictures of my daughters in the last couple of years, and those turned out pretty nice. I was pretty happy with those.
Okay.
But as far as like anything else, I haven't done any like weddings or anything like that. Mostly just for fun. I mean that's all it is. It's just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful when you can get into your passion and that passion links up with other passions, right? You're traveling, photos.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So look, we jump right into it because you're one of the most interesting mans. You're a hard man to get a hold of, Sergeant Major. So look, all right, we're gonna get into the official, session. So tell us, who are you, where are you from, and what do you do?
All right, so my name is Lee Roy Ridling Jr. I go by Lee, named after my father. I am retired from the U.S. Army, 30 years in the U.S. Army.
Ooh, 30.
And originally from Arkansas.
Okay.
Grew up in Arkansas, and then joined the Army and traveled, many different places around the world with the U.S. military. Great experience. And now I live in Leipzig, Germany, and I am an English teacher for the German military.
Awesome.
And so that's my second job, if you will. And then of course I just love to travel and take photos and have a good time, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you get into? So we got the photography part.
Yeah.
Major. So how did a Southern boy from Arkansas get into a German teacher position? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, when I worked with you in Baumholder, Germany,
The Rock.
The Rock, that's right. Viper Medics.
That's right. Hey, look, so maybe you see it in the background.
Oh yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Viper Medics.
So I was coming to the end of my time there, and I had a daughter who was going to be a senior in high school.
Okay.
And so my time at the 421st would have ended like right before my daughter's senior year. So I requested stabilization for high school stabilization, and I was told, in a polite way, I was told that high school apply to the sergeant's major, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and I was completely understanding that, right? I've had a great career. I have nothing to complain about, and I was like, okay, I understand we serve at the needs of the Army, and I was okay. So I was planning on retiring at the end of that tour, And like the next day, I guess, I saw basically on Facebook, I saw someone put a posting on Facebook that said, basically, we need an American sergeant major to work at the German NCO Academy. It was an exchange position, so I saw that and I was like, well, okay, what are the odds, right? I didn't really think I had a chance, but so I replied and I said, hey, I'm interested in the position. Kind of told them who I was, et cetera, et cetera. They replied and said, okay, you sound like a great candidate, but unfortunately, we don't think it's going to work. I said, okay. I went to bed that night and got up the next morning, and I had about 50 emails going back to organizations. And bottom line, at the end, the final answer was, okay, it was going to happen. Put him on assignment, and I had a report date of like 6 weeks later or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like, hold up, he's leaving?
Yeah, like that, right? So then I came here and worked. It was a great job. I really enjoyed being the exchange NCO. Got to coordinate some good stuff between the German NCO Academy and the U.S. Army NCO Academy at Grafenwehr, and we brought American soldiers to the German base here. Did some really good stuff for about 6 months, and then COVID hit, and it pretty much stopped everything.
That's right.
But I still got to instruct the German soldiers, and I really enjoyed that. That was a good job. And then, retirement came up again. I was getting real close to the 30-year mark, and so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I kind of asked the director of the English program. I said, "Hey, what do I need to do to get a job here?" And he was like, "Man, I'm so glad you asked." And so basically, I took a class to get certified as teaching English as a second language, and and the rest is history. I had a trial lesson I had to give, and they're seem to be very grateful to have someone with military experience teaching soldiers, right? Because soldiers want to learn from someone who's been in the military, right? So I think that adds a little bit of to instruction, and so yeah, it's been very good so far. Been working there for about 5-6 months, I guess. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, Sergeant Major. We got Mike Gunzo in the house. Good morning, brother. How are you? What's up? What you doing up early in the morning, Mike? Oh, Gunzo, you probably out doing inspections, huh? But look, Sergeant Major. So how? So you speak German pretty fluent, though, right?
It's always a work in progress. I mean, I guess I do okay, but I am by no means what I would say fluent to the level I should be.
Okay.
And I work every day. I mean, that's usually the first thing or the last thing I do every day is do a little bit of German lessons, either online or in some shape, form, or fashion, right? So always trying to improve it. And of course, it's gotten remarkably better since I've lived here without, the support of the U.S. military right around the corner.
That's awesome. So what did you do to get yourself to the point of, because I remember we would be out on some of the missions, or we would have interactions with some of our partner units in the German side, and you would hold a decent for someone who, okay, I did grow up in Germany. My father was stationed in Nuremberg from 89 to 90 something, I don't remember. But I functioned and I was able to get around on the economy and, go into the little bakeries and the gooey shops, and I loved it. But then you leave and you come back and you don't remember a lot of that stuff. But I remember, you interacting and talking and holding that conversation piece, and I was like, oh, shoot, Sergeant Major got some skills. Okay, all right. So how did you get to the point of where, okay, you're comfortable enough to actually try to hold and sustain the conversation?
Probably, I lived for a few years next to a wonderful family, and they spoke very little English. So I had to speak, and we hung out quite regularly. So I had to speak a form of German with them. Now, it was very broken and it was very grammatically incorrect. but we could communicate, and we communicated, really, really well, actually. Use some hand gestures every once in a while, and they understand. You get to the point where they understand what you're saying, even though you're saying it wrong. They know what you mean. So that was probably it. Hanging out with them and speaking with them quite often probably took some of the fear out of it. But it's still, when you go to you go to a business, it's basically like you have to conduct a certain, like, real business, like taxes, healthcare, stuff like that. There's that fear, like, oh man, this is when's my knowledge gonna run out, and I'm just gonna be kind of stranded here, it's still not as good as I would like for it to be, but I'm always working. So, because I think and to be totally honest, I think as an English speaker, you could pretty much live your life in Germany without speaking German, or without speaking very much German at all. I mean, because even here in Leipzig, where I live now, where there's not it's not like Kaiserslautern, where there's like thousands of Americans around, right?
Right.
But even here, enough people speak English, you could pretty much get by.
Right.
But I think it's important. I feel like if you live somewhere, then you should at least try to learn the language.
Come
right?
on, immersion, right? Immersion.
Yeah, exactly, right? So so I've always tried to learn and make it better. And same thing, when I was in Central America, I tried to learn Spanish. By no means was I ever fluent in Spanish, but I tried. I thought it was important to at least say a few words in Spanish. So yeah, there you have it.
It makes a big impression, and I was just telling someone, actually, when I was there, while we were there and I was in high school, I remember that I played on the German American soccer team.
Okay.
And one of the kids told me that, it's mandatory for us. We have to take English so many years of school. And English is the language of business. I guess that's what they were saying. So, if you try, if you're listening and you're traveling, if you make an attempt, I can almost guarantee you that 99.9% of the time, they will meet you at your attempt and help you get through whatever it is you're trying to tell them. I was just telling this lady the other day, we were inside of a store in like Rootweiler or something like that, and we were in the store, and there was another American there, and they were like, getting frustrated, like, you don't speak English, and it was like they was trying, they was like just not trying to speak German, but just kind of demeaning them for not speaking English in Germany. I'm like, you're not in America, buddy. You might want to try at least the basics, And so they're like, nine, we don't speak English. And then I come behind them, and I'm just like, well, I make an attempt. Sprechen Sie English? They're like, yeah, how can I help you? I was like, yes, because I did not feel like trying to juggle these things. Like, I did not know how to say what I was trying to ask them. And they was like,
really?
Yeah, sure. And then I was trying to find a place, and they pointed me in the right direction.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So that's awesome. Sorry, Major. You motivate me, pump me up. Nephew Tay, nice having neighbors as a safe place to try. Yes, that's my auntie. What's going on, auntie? You headed to work? All right, sorry. So tell me, so you grew up in Arkansas. You were a Razorback, right?
That's absolutely.
Now, what are your ties to the military? What made you decide to come in and serve?
Good question. So, growing up, most of the male role models I had spent some time in the military, right? So that was one. My father had been in the military, and most of the male role models that I knew had spent at least a little bit of time in the military, right? Okay. So I had that going for it, and it just seemed like an honorable profession. I liked the fact of serving your country, and plus there's a lot of benefits. So when I graduated high school, I went to college for about 3 semesters, and but I didn't take it very serious. I really goofed off and had a good time and did a bunch of stupid stuff. And then so at the end of 3 semesters, I kind of said, this is basically I'm just spending money and not really getting much out of it. So I quit and went to work. I was living at home with my parents, and I was working. Wasn't making a lot of money. Wasn't really happy with what was going on. And then my best friend joined the Army. He joined the Army, and then he told me, hey, it's not so bad, you need to check it out. So I started looking at it. I started going to the recruiters. I talked to the Air Force recruiter, talked to Army recruiters, and next thing you know, it seemed like a great deal. So and the difference between the two branches, and I don't know if it still applies. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. But so I went to the Army recruiter, and they basically offered me training in any MOS I wanted, right? And the Air Force recruiter said, well, we can't guarantee you. You sign up, you join, and then I guess during basic training or after basic training, they tell you what you're gonna your MOS is gonna be. So, and I thought, well, the Army, at least they let me choose. So that's right there is why I chose to join the Army.
Okay, that's
very
the same
happy.
thing that I heard too, Sergeant Major.
Yeah,
I was looking at Air Force too, but it's the outside of that point, I can never find an Air Force recruiter. They were never in the office. I was like, man, you guys must be good to go. Y'all don't need anybody, huh?
And a funny story about Air Force recruiters is that I was I don't know, I guess I was 19 years old. I'm not sure, 19 when I started talking to the recruiters, and so where I lived, we had a town down, like I came from a very small town, and the bigger town about 15 miles down the road had a military recruiting section. It had Army, Navy. I think there may have been a Marine recruiter there, but there was not an Air Force recruiter. So I didn't know where the Air Force recruiter was, and the other recruiters, they sure aren't going to tell you where to find the other branch, right? But we did have, it's still there, the Little Rock Air Force Base down the road, right?
Okay.
So, and that was, I don't know, 50 miles away or whatever. So I figured, well, if you go to an Air Force base, they got to have recruiters there, right? That's how so I just drove straight to the Air Force Base, went to the gate, and of course they're checking IDs, and I pulled up and said, yeah, I want to talk to a recruiter. And they're like, what? And they weren't used to that. So they pulled me over to the side, and they called someone, and bottom line, they got me, they pointed me in the right direction to find the Air Force recruiter, which was a totally other place. Totally another place, was not on the Air Force Base. But I tried to go to the Air Force Base to join the Air Force. But
look, that's dedication, though. You know what I'm saying? So look, why is it so hard to find these guys? That's insane.
I don't know. I guess they're making their numbers. So
what's it like? 3 people a year or something? Oh my God, that's crazy. So look, I mean, you did 30 years in the military.
Yes, sir. It's correct.
30 years. What are some of the pros and cons that you look back on and say, wow, this was great. This probably wasn't as great over your time in service.
So let's see. I actually wrote some of these down earlier, so make sure I don't miss anything. But I would say, as far as the pros, there's probably too many to list, honestly. I mean, I personally just feel like it was serving in the military was a great opportunity, right? Seeing the world from a different perspective, right? I mean, I'm very proud of my hometown. I'm proud of where I grew up at. I'm proud of the people there. But had I not have left, 30 years ago, I'd be a totally different person. So you get the perspective, you travel to different places, different parts of the country, different parts of the United States than outside of the United States. And even if you don't have an overseas assignment, you're still going to meet people from all over the world, right? So you get different perspectives, and you start to learn like, I never thought about it that way. So you can kind of see other thought processes, right, than just your own. So it's a very growing experience, right? So I think that is one of the biggest pros, is to understand that things aren't always exactly like they are from your life experiences, right? So to meet people and to get that different perspective, and then the military. at least from my experience, it forces you sometimes to get in uncomfortable situations, right? That you don't want to be. Like, I'm a severe introvert at heart, right? I hate talking to people. I hate being in front of people, but the military forces you to do that. So you have to adapt, and you develop a way to talk and speak with people. So you have to grow, right? So it forces you to grow in that aspect, and you know, and I think that's really good. It really helps people to go beyond their boundaries and get out of their comfort zone.
Right.
And then, and of course, you know, there's the benefits everybody knows about. You know, there's the education, there's the travel, there's the pay, there's the health care, there's the stability of a job. You know, for the most part, things can happen and people can be removed from the military sometimes. But for the most part, it's a very stable job, right? So you have that, and I think it was a great way of life, and I think my family and my children are probably better off because they have that experience and growing up and knowing people from all over the place.
Everywhere. I second that, Sergeant Major. I am a military brat, and
Yeah.
it was one of those things. You know, I think my youngest daughter probably is more so in line with the way my wife was a military brat too. And so for us, she grew up in Berlin, I grew up in Nuremberg. And
how about that? Okay.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And you know, when you live in one place for too long and you start itching at about 2 years, you know you're it's the military lifestyle, you can't get rid of it and you kind of need it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen in retirement.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like you get a different job every couple years or so, and you're always doing something else. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of worry about that too, about being in the same place for a long time and doing the same thing. So we'll see how it goes.
I think that traveling is going to help you out, Sergeant Major. I might have to come over there and use you as my tour guide in some of these places.
Come on.
So what was some of your cons? You said you had some maybe one or two.
Yeah, so I think the cons are I think frequent moves, right? Frequent moves and deployments can be very tough on the family, right? So I know we went through a point where we moved like 5 times in 4 years, right?
Wow.
So my kids, they were in a different school every year. And it's just challenging, and it gets exhausting, right? Because you never really set up a home anywhere. So I think that's can be very tough on a family, and it takes a special family to support that. Really, I mean, because not every spouse is gonna put up with that. So it takes a special person to support that, right?
Absolutely.
So it's tough, but the moves and then the deployments and for me, I've been very fortunate. I've only deployed twice, and they were had a big time gap in between. But of course, many people aren't deploy year after year after year, and I can't imagine the stress that they would be under for that. And then other than that, there's a certain, I guess, lack of freedom that you miss by serving in the military, right? So. And what I mean is, if you're a civilian and if you're not happy with how things are going, you can quit your job, you can start a new career. You don't really quite have that freedom in the military. You have your contract. But most people, whether they're in the military or not, obviously they have commitments that they're going to have to live up to, and so it's not easy. So I would say that's probably not a big thing, but there is a little bit of a lack of freedom, I guess, you get by signing. You lose.
You mean you can't wake up and call out sick in the military?
Exactly.
I'm gonna use this sick day today. You better get to this formation, get this sick call slip.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Auntie. I said brat. That's military brats. I don't know where it comes from, but that's what they term us kids that grew up in the military. They call us military brats. Don't be laughing at me. I'm not calling myself a real brat. All right, Sergeant Major. So look, what are some unique challenges that you faced in your transition from junior enlisted soldier through to NCO to senior NCO over, large numbers of soldiers, especially as a low density MOS. A lot of times the stigma is that we're not gonna be able to lead at that level, and so they need somebody that's more combat, trained. Not saying that we can't be, but that's the stigma.
Yeah. So I think no one does anything by themselves, right?
Right.
So I had great leaders that pushed me to take these jobs and really encouraged me and help me along. Because I'll be honest with you, so in my MOS, we went to Master Sergeant, and then after Master Sergeant, you compete with everybody else for Sergeant Major. So, I had people encouraging me all along, right? Ever since my first duty station, people helping me, helping you prepare for the boards and things like that. And get the cutoff scores. And so when I made Master Sergeant, I'll be honest, I had absolutely zero plans to be a first sergeant or to ever make sergeant major. It just didn't at that time. And as a 91 Papa back then, but as a 68 Papa, it just. I think that MOS went about 10 years without anyone getting selected for sergeant major, right? And that's when, about the time I was selected for Master Sergeant. So I really had being a sergeant major was not even an option to me. I just didn't even think it was possible.
Okay.
So I got selected for Master Sergeant, and one of our sergeants major called me into his office, and he was the operations sergeant major at the time, and he congratulated me, and he said, what's next? What do you think you're going to do next? And I said, I don't know. I said, I have no idea. He said, well, you need to try to get a company. You need to be a first sergeant. And it just, I didn't even think I was eligible, right? Because all those jobs are slotted for 68 whiskeys. And I said, well, I don't think I can, Sergeant Major. And he's like, oh, that's bullshit. And he gave, he cursed at me a little bit, and he went up and down. But he definitely said, you need to go out and try to get a company. And I had some great sergeant major. I had a great command sergeant major who selected me to be a first sergeant. And honestly, I know I screwed up a lot. You get into those jobs, and another sergeant major friend of mine told me, used to say a lot that he would say that by the time I was a nominative sergeant major, I was a really good first sergeant. So you get all that knowledge, and by the time you get the knowledge to do a job, it's like you're moving on to the next job.
One, right?
It's a constant learning process. So so I got opportunities, people to really push me, and and to really make me go outside of that comfort zone, right? Because I just want to hang out, and I don't really want to be in front of anyone speaking, but you get out of that comfort zone and push it. So, I mean, so, and that was it, just having people to let you know that you can do certain things, right? Instead of having that doubt, well, that's never going to happen. I'm never going to do that. So you have someone say, yeah, you can do it. Why not? Why not you? It's got to be someone. Why not you? So, so that was it. And I don't know if that really answers you as far as challenges go, but helping people open my eyes to what's possible, I guess, was the biggest.
That's good. That's good, Sergeant Major. So I have a question for you. When well, I appreciate and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a first sergeant in your battalion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you. I was I remember when there was 3 different spots opened up, and and then I came in and I was like, so I overheard that if we don't interview then we're kind of like it's kind of like, you know, hot garbage. You're just like, yep, I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, Roger that, Sergeant Major. And you know, I was thinking I had another position in the bag because, you know, that company had requested me by name, you know, and they came over and they interviewed and everything, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna talk to Sergeant Major and the commander, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, cool. Don't say anything. So when you hit me up, I'm like, is this a trick? Okay. And then so I come in for my interview, and you know, I'm you asking the questions, and I don't even know if I answered some of them right. Some of the acronyms that you had asked me, and I was like, I don't know what that is. What is this? But then you said, so I can't remember exactly what the question was, but I said, you know what, Sergeant Major, I'm wherever you need me at, right? It's if you need me here, because I said that I really love my team. I enjoy my team. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then you said you sat back and you looked and you was like, interesting. And you said, you know that your OIC came up here to talk to me. You remember that? Do this. He came and talked to you. And he said, you can't take him.
Yeah. Right.
And so that was really that hit for me, because it was like, okay, he said he knows that I have to go and take one of these companies, but don't take me yet, because we just got the team rolling right and we're all clicking, and he just want to be able to get me a full NCOER.
Yeah.
So that was awesome, Sergeant Major. So, but if you can remember, what were your thoughts when I said, you know, I'm good either way, I'm here for you?
Yeah.
What were the thoughts on that?
Well, I appreciated the honesty for sure, and I think initially I was a bit surprised because I figured you would come out and just would be, you know, real hungry and gung ho, like, oh, I want the first sergeant position. That, you know, that's what I want. That's what I'm made to do, and I'm made to lead soldiers and be out in front of the company. And then, so that's kind of what I was expecting you to say. But I think after, so I was a little shocked. But afterwards, you know, I kind of reflected, and I definitely appreciated the honesty, right? So because not everyone would do that. That's for sure. You know, most people have the tendency to give the answer that, whether it's true or not, what they think the other person wants to hear.
Right.
Or maybe what they think they should say, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you came in, and I was in the middle of a briefing for a deployment that was coming up.
Yeah.
It was Isidore. He said he come into the briefing and he's like, Sergeant Major just came into the office looking for you. And I'm like, what? I think I know what it is, but I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so what is it? I can't say it, but he's been looking for you. You came in like 2 or 3 times. It looked serious. And so I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I come upstairs, and then I knock, and you're like, and you come over, and I'm like, Sergeant Major is never like moving this fast like this. What's going on? You close that door. What you got going for the next 2 to 3 months? I don't know. What's going on, Sergeant Major? You put me on a court martial. That's what I got going on. I literally have the handcuffs on me right now. What's up? I tell the soldiers that story. It was like, you were going through no. I was assigned as the court martial, not me going through a court martial. And so that was cool. And then you say, I remember like a little bit later down the road, you say, so how you feel about this first sergeant thing? I'm like, I like it, Sergeant Major. It's cool. He said, okay, good. I wasn't gonna switch you out anyway. I said, okay, cool. That's awesome. But you know what was the funniest thing, Sergeant Major? You remember you said, don't say anything. The company will pretty much fill it out. You know, they'll find it out. Yeah. And as I'm leaving out of your office, I hear the company commander walking down telling something, Sergeant Gifford's the new first sergeant. Sergeant. And they looking at me, I'm like, Sergeant Major told me not to say anything. I can't tell you, but he can say it. So that was pretty awesome, man. I really do appreciate it, and that was a great experience for me. Yeah, that was it. It really. I thought I was going to a unit that I was used to. I knew,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
people, but I think that being HHD really, like you said, it stretched me because
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
had I been with the vets, then
Hmm.
I mean I would have been doing what I always do. I know that. I
Yeah.
know that I can do that. I know I can soldier, but being in HHD where I would say majority of the people are either the same rank or higher rank than us.
Yeah. It takes some finesse. It really does. It takes some finesse and some tact to lead a company like that. Yeah, absolutely. Because when half the people are equal to you or outrank you, yeah, it's challenging. And then you got all these different, like you had all the different jobs, all the different positions that maybe you did or maybe you didn't have a whole lot of experience with. So yeah, it's definitely it's a challenge for sure. That is a challenging organization to be in charge of. No doubt about that.
Yes, absolutely. So, Sergeant Major, are you still lifting weights? Because I know you used to throw them things around.
Yeah, when I do as much as my body will let me, I definitely try to stay in shape, and I'll go in and I got to listen to what's going on. Like listen to what's my back saying, what are my
Right.
knees saying. So and you kind of I guess adapt and change your workouts a little bit. But yeah, I'm still lifting. Not as nearly as heavy as I did once upon a time.
Okay.
Not as often as I did once upon a time. But yeah, I'm still getting it in some form or fashion as often as I can. Yeah, and
Look, look, Sergeant Major. I'll tell you this: that you were referenced as the older John Cena. Look, we messed it up for Sergeant. Sorry, what's her name? Maria. Maria. Hey, what's her last name? I know her main name. She was in FHP with us. She was the. Uh, I can't remember her name, but Hanson. Nope, it wasn't that. Well, she was in there. She loved John Cena. So when we
yeah.
said that, they was like, "Yes, that's who it is." I was like, "Who does Sergeant Major remind me of?" Oh my god! It's like you come out, you like you just came from the gym. You got your workout stuff. I was like, John Cena. All he gotta do is storm out the office and run to the ring. That's all he gotta do. And she's like, no, I love John Cena. You done messed it up for me.
Oh man, I've heard that before. Actually, not the first one that's compared me with. I think I take it as a big compliment because I don't think I'm quite as fit or as good looking as he is. But anyway, I'll take it. Right?
Hey,
definitely.
Major, hey, look, you
A
got
lot older than he is.
you got it from the fellas, so that's a compliment.
Right.
Yes, it's a compliment to you, Sergeant Major. Who?
Oh, I appreciate it.
All right, so Nephew Tay, my auntie said this is great, wonderful when someone trusts you enough to give you those opportunities. Absolutely, auntie, absolutely. All right, Sergeant Major. So we know what you got going now. You got a lot of things spinning. But what would you like to be when you grow up?
Oh man, when I grow up, I think I'd like to be a travel photographer. Maybe work for some travel organization and take pictures for them, or maybe I don't know, maybe work for the National Geographic or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You can see yourself out on the safari.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Sergeant Major. Oh, you gotta let me know if you get that, man. That'd be awesome. I want to do a safari, but I watch too many of the when animal attacks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I've got a good story about animal attacks. So when my wife and I were going to Alaska, we made an adventure out of it. Right. So this was in 2000. We didn't have any children. We drove from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, to Fort Wainwright, Alaska.
Wow.
We packed a tent, and about every other night, someplace we would pitch our tent someplace, and then someplace else we would stay in a hotel maybe. So we stayed at this one, and when you get up there, you start going through Canada and into Alaska. you get to these places and there's like warning signs, be careful of bear all over the place and stuff like that, right? Well, we get to this one place and there were more signs than any of the other places. I mean, it was like every tree you looked at had like a warning bear sign. And we're camping in our tent, right? And we're looking
No.
This is a bit concerning, right? But we did it. We spent the night. Next morning, we get up and left, and didn't really think much more about it. So a couple weeks later, we're in Alaska. We're living in the hotel, waiting to get a house, and we're watching those animal attack shows, right? And we're watching the show specifically about bears, and then it comes on. This place that we had camped at, just like the year before, there had been a bear, went crazy and attacked like a bunch of people right there at that place. I'm like, that's exactly where we camped at. Yeah, so that was kind of the bear attack show that really hit home.
Goodness gracious, that's insane. I'm glad that it was the year before.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
All right, so Major. So if you could talk to anyone in history, who would you pick to hold that conversation with, and why?
Oh man, good question. And I saw this question, but I didn't really think about who would be the person. So many people. Who would I talk to? I could kind of make a joke. I guess I probably won't do that. It might be interesting to go back and talk to, Thomas Jefferson or one of our founding fathers that with the formation of the United States, to say, so what did you really have in mind, right? And just try to see what their real intent was in forming the United States, and see, so how close are we to what you actually thought was going to happen? I think that would be interesting. There's so many historical figures, who wouldn't want to talk to Jesus Christ, right? I mean, my goodness, right? So, so it's difficult. It would be difficult to pick one person, but yeah, I would, especially the political climate in the United States right now, and there's so much debate about what the founding fathers intended. So I think it would be nice to talk to one of them and say, hey, what did you guys really have in mind when you put the thing together, right?
What was the purpose of this Second Amendment?
Yeah, really, yeah. So just to hear it from the horse's mouth, I think that would be interesting, right?
It's easy for us to try. It's not really easy, but it feels like it's easy for the lawmakers to interpret from their own.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows? It says in there. I was reading one of them. It was like, in case the government get out of hand, we need to be able to bear arms. So I'm like, wow. They feel like we might be maybe another revolt. Maybe like we might have to annex from the Union or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right. So give us one of your most memorable experiences.
One of my most memorable experiences. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to tell you. Most memorable experience. I was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I had a part-time job. I worked at a gym in Lawton, right? So I was a trainer at this gym and worked part-time there. And I'm out on the gym floor. I'm training someone, and the most beautiful woman in the world I've ever seen in my life walked in the door. I'm like, wow, who is that? And she starts talking to one of my coworkers, right? This girl I worked with. And later she left, and I said, who was that? And she said, oh, that was my friend Betty. I'm like, oh wow. And I'm thinking, wow, she's really cute, right? And then a few weeks later, she starts working with us, right? And so she walks in the door, and I had no game, right? I was absolutely the biggest nerd and the most awkward person in the world with women, right? But she walks in the door, and I'm Mr. Cool. I'm like, oh, you must be Betty. So nice to meet you, right? And that's how it all happened, right? So that was the first time we met, and well, here it is, like, 27 and a half years later,
Wow.
Yeah, still together.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So she literally walked into your life, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Look, the Jewel Junkie says she's preparing for work. Great seeing you, sir. Love to the family. And then she came back listening to the story saying that's beautiful. I thought you was getting ready for work, girl. All right, Sergeant Major. So look, give us some advice for young leaders that's questioning the next step forward and questioning their abilities to take charge and lead. And you kind of hit on it. It's like when you think you're good at where you at, that's when the Army usually stretches you to do something else.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what advice would you give to those guys at that point?
I would say don't underestimate yourself, right? And push yourself. And you can do more than you would ever possibly imagine. Yeah. And I used to tell people, I'm just a dumb hillbilly from Arkansas, right? And if I can be a sergeant major or command sergeant major of the United States Army, then virtually anyone with a little bit of drive and a little bit of effort, you could push yourself to do anything, right? So don't sell yourself short. I mean, we get these negative thoughts in our minds, right? And we think that we can't accomplish anything. And let me back up. There's nothing wrong with being a hillbilly from Arkansas, by the way. I use that just to show people where I came from, right? Yeah. And so, but don't sell yourself short. You can accomplish pretty much anything, and it's really true. You can accomplish pretty much anything you set your mind to. Most people with effort and working hard and just try to make yourself a little bit better every day and whatever you want to accomplish, right? Learn a little bit more, get a little bit stronger, and you can. It's unbelievable. The limits are really endless. I mean, you can do so much.
Yeah, just have a little bit of faith in yourself, right?
Don't be afraid to get outside of that comfort zone.
That's it, the comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, you probably won't find yourself growing too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, Sergeant Major. So give us a leadership lesson and a life lesson.
A leadership lesson and a life lesson. Life lesson. Just because things don't work out the way you think they should, oftentimes it's for the best, right? So don't be discouraged if something doesn't go your way. If you get, especially if you're in the military, right? You get an assignment to someplace you don't want to go, someplace you never wanted to go.
Right.
There's a good chance there's a reason for that. And ultimately, the second order effect is that it might be really good for you, So take advantage of anything, even if you have the worst, you think it's, oh God, that's the last place I ever wanted to go. They have a tendency to work out, right? And if you do the things you're supposed to do, typically things are going to work out in your favor, right? And leadership lesson, when things look bad, when things look terrible, they look as bad as they're going to get, just back up, take a breath, calm down a little bit, and figure out a way to make things right? Never give up, right? So it's never as bad as you think it is in the bad times, right? So things are always gonna get better, right?
Yeah.
So just calm yourself down and don't get so excited that you do something stupid. Take a step back, calm down, catch your breath, and then figure out how to do it.
That's good. Hey, look, Sergeant Major, you remember when our last EFMB together, we were in up towards not Hornfield, Graf. We were in Graf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you remember when that pizza man came speeding down into the area?
Yeah, I do.
So, Major, you scared everybody out there. Look, I bet that pizza man thought John Cena was coming to get him.
I forgot about that. Yeah, but I do remember that now.
Look, when you said you gotta just take a step back and calm, you went from 0 to 100 back to 0. You was like, after you blasted him really good and he was scared out of his wits, then you like, look, what are you doing here? Okay, we got soldiers in this area. You might hit somebody. Don't come back down here. I know he was like, oh, this dude's gonna kill me right now. We be telling that story like it was like, did you hear Sergeant Major? Yes. Yes, I heard him. He was. I heard you on the other side. I'm up here. I'm trying to get soldiers to where they need to be at, and I hear you yelling and screaming and hey, whoa, what just happened? Okay, so knowing that you had the knife hand powers, executing it very well for 30 years, at least 20 of those 30 years, right?
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Well, if I could have one superpower, well, I would. If I could have a superpower, I would be able to speak any language that I wanted to. You could, any language that you needed to speak at any time, you could speak that language. Because I've been fighting with this, with languages for most of my life. So I would love to speak multiple languages. Anything I needed to speak, I would just be able to speak it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's probably a pretty boring superpower, I guess. But
No, it's good. I mean, because if you can speak any language, that means you can literally interpret also the animals, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And it's different. Most people be like, I want to fly.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be cool. I can't think of anything to be negative about it. I'm always thinking like the opposite side of that power. Like, you can fly, but you're not indestructible. So what if you fly into something?
There you go. Right.
So you got to fly one time, use your superpower. Now you dead because you don't know how to control that thing. First time you drove, you didn't drive perfect.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
And
yeah, good point.
Right.
The first time you fly,
and you're not indestructible. So what if you fly too high and you lose consciousnness, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Do you just fly when you sleep, or do you fall back to the earth? I don't know.
Question. Who knows? Yeah.
That's my brain working. I don't know why I do that, sorry, maybe, but I like your superpower. It's a good one.
All right.
So give us your Mount Rushmore. 3 great leaders that have affected you and been pillars in your life. They don't have to be personal. They can be, historic or personal that you know.
Okay. Yeah. My dad, my father, taught me integrity, honor, hard work. So definitely my dad, and then he was also in the military, so he kind of gave me that guidance of joining the military and getting that experience. Now he was out. My dad only served for a few years. He was not in the military during any of my lifetime, so he was out before I was born. But I knew he was in, and and I was proud of that. And also, my dad gave me the ultimate push to join the military. And he might deny this now, and he would especially deny it to my mother. But when I was on the fence about joining the military, I was bouncing around to the different recruiters and stuff. And, I was probably going to join, but I was kind of, getting information and taking my time about it. One day, my dad finally said, "Son," and I know this came from a place of love. My dad said, "Son, when are you going to join the Army or join the Air Force? Join something, but you got to get out of my house." Right? So my father definitely had a big influence on me, and my mother as well. Great people taught me love and respect and and hard work and integrity. Someone like I tried to emulate from history, Abraham Lincoln, right? So, and you think about what a hero is or a leader, and to me, it's someone who does something to help others, and maybe in a time of crisis where they probably don't really stand to gain much from it, and potentially they could lose everything, right? And in the case of Abraham Lincoln, he certainly did. So when you look at his situation, the Emancipation Proclamation. I mean, him personally, he was already president of the United States, and he probably personally wasn't going to help him or his family at all, but he did it, and he took that risk, right? And then ultimately it cost him his life. So as a leader, try to do things to help other people advance and to look out for other people, whether it's going to benefit you or not. That hopefully is irrelevant. Hopefully that's not why you're doing it, right? To help others. And then And then another person, kind of along the same line of Abraham Lincoln. Um, I've enjoyed studying about Martin Luther, the German monk who started the Reformation, and I don't think he intended. And everybody's flawed, right? All these people are flawed. Martin Luther certainly had flaws, but when he realized, when he was a monk, and he had honestly, back in those days, being a monk was a pretty good lifestyle. From what I understand, it was better than the average peasant for sure.
Right.
But he realized the corruption in the church, and he kind of realized, well, wait a minute, what we're telling people isn't exactly what the Bible says, And so he realized that, and so he started the Reformation to say and translated the Bible and said, people need to be able to read the Bible to make up their own minds about, how they should live their lives, and it shouldn't be directed to them from the church. And this is what the Bible says, and by the way, you can't read it,
Yeah,
so
you can't read it, but trust me.
Exactly, right. And so he brought out this the corruption, and I don't think the results was exactly what he had in mind, but he did it, and he translated the Bible and all that. So it gave people the choice to live their lives the way they thought they should live. And ultimately, he could have, certainly could have lost his life for that, and him personally, it may or may not have benefited his life at all by letting other people know what they could do. So I look at those two, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther, and then my parents are three people that try to kind of strive for to help others, right? And maybe give to other people, and not whether you personally gain anything from it or not. And I think that's a good way to live. And because everybody's flawed, and everybody has issues that makes them not a perfect human being. And I don't know anyone who is perfect, right? So
that's right. I like that, Sergeant Major. So give us a quote that you live by.
A quote that I live by. Try to be better every day. Try to be smarter. Try to be better every day. That's my own quote, right? So it's not like I got that, but I do try to live by that. I just try to get a little bit smarter every day, get a little bit better at what you're doing, right?
Yeah. What's your legacy, Sergeant Major?
My legacy, I'm not really sure, but I hope I've helped people to get better. I hope I've helped people to advance and to be better than they were when I met them. That goes for people I worked with, my children, my family. I hope that's what it is. He's a guy who helped others succeed.
Yeah.
Or to accomplish more.
I'll say, Jill, she says, Jewel Junkie says, haha, great story sharing. See you later. See you later. Don't work too hard. One of the things that really stood out for me is when you gave me the counseling that you give to all your first sergeants. And, something that stood out for me and for my wife, I shared it with her. It was when you said in there, I'm paraphrasing, these people, these soldiers, these service members, they signed up in a time of war. Their families loaned their kids, their sons and their daughters, basically to us, to the United States military, to go off and serve their country. They're heroes. You need to treat them with respect. You want to treat them and give them the utmost respect. Even if you're on the way driving them to prison, do not treat them like anything other than a soldier, a hero. You ain't got to give them a hero's welcome to drop them off as prison, but you give them that respect. Don't look down, don't demean them. Treat them, give them that respect, because they did come in and serve, and that is a very high standard. But that showed me that you respect a lot, you expect a lot from your leaders, and that even though I had that sort of mentality, it just amplified it when you gave me that counseling. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. you may have messed up. It's professional. It's not personal, and so I shouldn't take my personal beliefs out on you because of something that you did. You're already being, punished. The
Yeah.
last thing I can do is at least be that last person that you see before I turn you over, and I'm giving you that respect. So, that's one of the things. One of the legacies that I have is that you held that standard, and that was something that was really, it's powerful. You care for people enough to make sure that your leaders, if they don't care, they better pretend like they care for those. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
And treating people with dignity and respect. I think when we don't do that, and you look at any organization, the military or outside, that's one of the biggest problems that any organization has is leadership or anyone not treating other people with dignity and respect. And absolutely. You may be driving them to Leavenworth and dropping them off at prison for committing the most heinous crime in the world. But by the time you're driving them there, you're going to drive them with dignity and respect. And when they get to that prison, they can do with them, however they handle inmates there. But that's not our job. Our job is to treat people with dignity and respect. So I think, and when that doesn't happen, that's when organizations have problems.
Yeah. When somebody else pointed out that the reason why you want to do that, it was a different conversation but similar topic, is that when those service members get out and they remember that you treated them with dignity and respect, they become potential ambassadors for spokespeople, right?
Yeah.
When they can look back and say, you know what, maybe I didn't do the best I could have done in that situation, but I had leaders that at least gave me that dignity and that respect, and they showed me that they cared all the way to dropping me off at the prison. So I'm gonna tell you this before we get out of here.
All right.
I was on the trail in San Antonio. I was in Whiskey Land with the combat medics, and I had this soldier. She went AWOL, and we tried to get her to come back, but we could not get in touch with her. Like almost 4 or 5 cycles later, this soldier pops up. This is over a year and some change. She pops up, and they're like, "Hey, you got a soldier that want to see you." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm on my way down there. I was a senior, one of the seniors, Foxtrot Company 232. Shout out to the Falcon Medics. And so I get down there, and it's this soldier, and I'm like, "What are you doing here? I got to take you to the MP station. What are you doing here?" And she told me that her grandmother had got put out of the adult home. Her family wasn't paying the bills or whatever. And so she didn't think of any other options but to leave and go take care of her grandmother, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna leave and you can go back to take care of your grandmother. I don't want to lock you up. I don't want to take you down here to the MP station, especially now after you just told me this." And she said, "Well, my grandmother died, and I have to finish this. I have to do the right thing." And so I was like, "I can't take you to the MP station." And so I called up First Sergeant, and he was like, "Hey, look, senior, you got to do what you got to do, man." And I'm like, I'm so hoping you're going to tell me something else. So I told her, I was like, "Whatever you need to do, just go ahead and do it, and I'll get my stuff together." And so I drove her down to the MP station, and I had a conversation with the MPs, and I told them basically. And so they made a couple phone calls, and I don't think she had to do a bunch of time after, but it really hurt me because she was a good kid. She was one of the platoon guys, and she it's like this soldier didn't have a reason to leave, and then it made sense. Like it made sense.
Sure.
On why she had to she left. And so I was so happy that they said they're gonna square up. So she had to get processed. So they actually took her to wherever they do this stuff at. But then they they basically did what they had to do and let her go home. So that was awesome. Sometimes it works out in their favor. But so I made you this was awesome. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
it's great.
coming out and hanging with us. Any last words you have for us? I'm pulling up the adventures, the Riddling Adventures. Love, laugh, live to travel.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. It was I really enjoyed it. It was great. I don't really speak with fellow soldiers from the U.S. military very often anymore. So it was great talking to you and catching up. Yeah, I would just say, if I could change the world, I would say if everyone could know what it feels like to have someone to really love them, right? And I think the world would be a better place. And like I said, growing up with my parents, we didn't have the most money, and sometimes things were tight. But one thing I always knew, right? I knew my parents loved me, right?
Yeah.
And then when I joined the military and went off, and then you realize not everybody grows up that, right? There are some people who live their entire lives and never really feel love. So I think if people had someone to love them, then I think the world would be a better place, right? So be kind to someone, right? Be kind to someone and be understanding, because everybody's had their struggles and everybody's had a life, and they've had things that you don't know about, and it may have been that they had to go take care of their sick grandma.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's good. Look, I'm gonna leave it right there. Look, show love, people.
Yeah.
Hey, enjoy the rest of your day, Sergeant Major. Enjoy. What is
Cool.
it? Evening time, afternoon?
What is it? It's almost 3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay. Look, enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much. Look, we're gonna have to link back up because look, your travels are amazing. I'm gonna pull up some of your YouTube stuff, and you're gonna take us on a venture.
All right.
To some of these travels that you have. I don't know. We may have to do a travel vlog, having you when you go to these places, try this stuff right here. So yeah, we'll check it out.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Sergeant Major. I love you, man. Take it easy.
Have a great day.
All right.